our five.
Okay, all right, great. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity today to get the chance to show you all about Equidox. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Equidox, it is a cloud-based PDF conversion software. And Equidox was specifically designed with remediation in mind. And it actually is a remediation-specific tool that does turn inaccessible PDF documents into a usable format. So therefore, anyone that is using assistive technology to access the information online is able to do that. And really today what Dan Toletta, our software engineer at Equidox, he's going to be demonstrating Equidox, showing you just how we use a combination between AI and machine learning to tackle even the most difficult PDF documents, and we're able to remediate those documents. And roughly about 85% of the time it can typically take if you're using other remediation tools like Adobe Acrobat and so forth. So this is where I'll go ahead and kick it off to Dan, and he's just going to show you all about what Equidox has to offer.
All right, thank you, Mallory. So welcome everyone to Equidox. This is our PDF remediation tool. The first thing I'd like to point out is that we are operating in the browser, which is a really big advantage, especially under current circumstances where many people are working from home and remotely and not necessarily sitting at their desktop at work. So with Equidox, the account travels with you. As long as you have your username and password, you can log in through the browser and remediate documents. The other advantage to it being cloud-based is that everything in your account is going to be centralized in one location. So that really encourages a natural collaboration or teamwork sort of aspect to PDF remediation. In the event that you have some very long documents or complicated documents, you can have multiple people from the account working on the same document simultaneously. So not everything has to be siloed to individual machines. You can get people collaborating and working together. And if you've got that 200-page annual report, you might assign 50 pages to 4 different users, and then they're able to knock that document out in a matter of an hour or two, rather than one person having to clear their calendar for a couple of days to grind through all of that content. So there's just a lot of natural advantages to being cloud-based. Of course, it being portable and you can log in from anywhere is huge. So when you do log in, this will be the main page that you see. It's just a list of documents that are ready to be worked on and that are preloaded into your account. The way that we get documents in Equidox is we have to import them. So this second tab over here on the left-hand side is for bringing documents into the system. I actually just imported a document that I believe Shane was showing earlier, how to remediate using Adobe Acrobat. So we'll take a look at that today. Just to get a feel for how the import process works, I'll just select a couple of documents off of my hard drive and I'll just drag them into this gray area, and then I get a green check mark indicating that the document is uploaded. So now that it's uploaded, I'm ready to import it. And this import process is where an Equidox is essentially reading through the source file. If there's any existing tags already present in that document, Equidox will import that existing tag structure. If there are no existing tags, Equidox will start using its auto detection to find different areas of data throughout the document and start marking them up with reading zones. So it's really going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you just by simply importing it. It's sort of starting like an auto tagging process, and then you as the remediator can go in and make adjustments to make sure that things like reading order, heading structure, lists and tables, images have their correct descriptions, making sure that all of sort of the unique elements in the document are tagged correctly before you export. So those documents are now in the system and ready to be worked on. And I get a couple of notifications over here letting me know that those 3 documents that I've imported over the last few minutes are ready to be worked on. I'm going to mention one quick thing here on the Help tab. So Equidox is a dynamic product. We are always improving and trying to bring in new features and enhancements to the tool to make this easier and faster. And so with that, with every new release comes release notes, which go back about 10 or 15 different versions if you're interested in seeing the evolution of the product. But really what these do is they just open up in a separate tab, and they give you a really good rundown on what's changed about the application. So these are screenshots and sort of instructions on how to use the new features. We just had a new release that came out on June 4th. And with that release came a few very, very impressive features that we'll get into in a little bit. Really some big game changers in terms of table and list remediation. We also have an end user guide in the application as well, which opens up in a Drupal site. And there's plenty of information and resources in here for all of those basic sort of how-to questions when using Equidox. So we take training and support of our users very seriously with Equidox. If you're using a tool like Adobe Acrobat, there really isn't that much support that you're going to get from Adobe. With us, you can actually submit us a support ticket. You have the direct lines of of our team to get in touch with us. So if you ever need help, if you have questions, if you're confused, we are here to help. That's really like a big part of Equidox, because we know that PDF remediation is a new task for a lot of people. This isn't necessarily something that's natural for everyone. Oftentimes people are coming into this and looking at PDF remediation for the very first time. So we want to make sure that everyone is set up to be successful with Equidox and making sure that they're using the tool correctly. So the first thing I want to look at is I want to take a look at this document that that Shane sent over to me and that you were working on earlier, I believe, in the training today. When we open up the document, we are presented with the document detail page, which gives us a thumbnail of the 3-page. Am I back? Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. We were having a couple of hiccups with Zoom during a test the other day, but typically it works fine. So I do apologize if we have any drop-offs. Please let me know if I do drop off. I'm happy to reset and start from wherever I cut out at. So with the document detail page, we get the thumbnail of the 3 pages. We also have a share feature. So when I was talking before about collaborating with other teammates, I'm the only user in this account, but you're actually able to share this document with other users and ask for help on a specific element, a specific page, or even just assign the document to someone like that may be a team member of yours or someone that works underneath you, to say, please work on this document and get it back to me by the end of the day. So there is just that natural collaboration and the ease of just transferring information and sending documents back and forth to work on together. Some different properties will populate about the document. Nothing overly exciting here that I want to focus on. We also have one of the tabs here in the document detail page that I do like to mention is the images tab. So this is a really helpful tool in Equidox, because what this does is it gives you a consolidated list of all of the images that are in that document. So as you know, giving an alt description to an image is really a critical part of PDF accessibility, because a screen reader has no idea what an image necessarily is. It doesn't know, is that a dog or a cat or a mountain or a lake? So we have to provide context to that screen reader for describing these images. So with this consolidated list of images, you have the ability to just sort of streamline your approach to writing the alt text. So if you're familiar with the content, you'll know right away by looking at the thumbnails of these images exactly what are these images about and what kind of alt text do I need to provide. So you're able to handle that right here in one location. You also have the ability to hit hide all zones, which is essentially artifacting the images. So you're removing them from the tagged reading order, and you're relieving yourself from the requirement of providing an alt text. Now, I wouldn't recommend just leaning on hide all zones to just shortcut the system to not have to write alt text, but it is very helpful if you have, let's say, a document that contains the same logo in every corner of every page. You don't need to provide an alt description on every single one of those logos. It gets very redundant. You're not actually adding any value to the document by doing that. You're simply just spending a lot of time typing out the same description. So the ability to hit hide all zones and essentially artifact all of those logos at the same time will really save you a lot of steps, and will also ensure that you're not forgetting any images. Because as you know, if these documents are exported and there are any images that do not have an alt text or have not been artifacted, that will be found by an accessibility scanner or an accessibility audit. They will simply mark the document as inaccessible because there's images missing alt text. Even if everything about the document is perfect, the images need to have a description or they need to be marked as artifacts. That's the images tab. There's really a lot of value there when you're working on that type of document that does contain a lot of images, just to be able to streamline your approach to them. One other thing I'll mention before we get into the actual document is the output tab. So when we are done working on a document, we have 3 formats that we can export to. So we only have to remediate the document one time, and we can export an HTML file, a PDF, or an EPUB. So the flexibility is great because it really just depends on what is the ultimate goal for this document, where is it going to be posted, what is its purpose. Perhaps a student would like their education materials in an EPUB format. You can provide that to them. Maybe someone that's posting a marketing flyer to the website would like their PDF back because the PDF will have the exact same visual appearance as the source file did. So we're not changing anything visually about the PDF. Or an HTML file is great for converting stuff into web materials. So if you don't necessarily care about the exact aesthetics of the document itself, if you just simply care about having the document structured and the data aligned properly, you can use HTML as an export format, and you have the ability to then post that to the website. And you can even apply a CSS, so a cascading style sheet, so that it will match the rest of your website, so the same fonts and colors and that sort of thing. So the flexibility of exporting to 3 separate formats is really great, and we only have to remediate it once. There's really nothing special that we have to do to export to any of these formats. So you have a lot of flexibility there, which is great. So we're going to jump into the first page here, if there's any questions at this point, feel free to interrupt me. I'm happy to pause for questions if there's anything. But if not, we can keep going. So, I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yes, we have a question from Michelle, and I'm not sure exactly. You may have to jump in here, Michelle. Will documents remain single files under user collaboration of editing files? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you know what she's talking about, or maybe you should jump in, Michelle.
Yes, what I'm referencing, kind of like the experience that we have under the Google environment. We have one document with multiple people collaborating edits on it, but it stays a single document. Is that the same case under this product? Or if 2 or 3 people, users, begin to edit, do they each get their own copy of the file?
No, so as long as those users are working from the same imported version. So for example, if I imported this document and I shared it with 2 other users and I said, okay, you work on page 2 and you work on page 3, I'll do page 1. All 3 of us working from the same file, all of our edits would be saved in this single file. But if I sent this document before importing it to those 3 users and all 3 of them imported their own version of this document, then that's 3 separate files in the Equidox environment. So it just depends. If everyone is working from the same file within Equidox, that's fine. But if everyone is importing their own version of the document, then those files are all completely separate. So it just depends if everyone is working out of this exact same URL, which we would encourage. But there's nothing that stops you from importing multiple versions of the same document. I hope that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we are here in this document, and you might notice that there's these yellow boxes that are now located on the page. And these yellow boxes are what we would call reading zones. And all this is Equidox detecting text when we imported the file. So nothing special has been done to this document. There hasn't been any previous work done to it in any way. Equidox is simply able to detect data, and it's wrapping things up in a text zone. So it's giving us this head start, and now it's our job as the remediator, since we're dealing with a completely untagged document, to do things such as mark up the headings. We want to make sure that we're labeling the appropriate headings. We have a list here that needs to be adjusted, and we of course have this image down here that will need an alt description. So to get started, I want to show you something first before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Up in the right-hand corner, there's this button that looks kind of like a computer monitor. And if I press this button at any time while I'm working on a page, I get to see an HTML rendering of the document that I'm working on. So I'm able to see a reflection of exactly what is a screen reader going to see if I were to export this document as is. So HTML is great because it's very linear, it's very clean and easy to work with. So I'm able to see just exactly what am I exporting in terms of data. So this is my reading order, just top to bottom, very linear. I see I have this list here, which is currently not tagged as a list properly. I do have a link, which was actually appropriately recognized because that was embedded in the source file. So Equidox is able to detect that link. And then here I have my image down here, which definitely still needs an alt description. So I have a little bit of work to do to clean this document up. And the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to quickly set headings. So since this is a text zone, I might be able to zoom my browser in. That might help a little bit. Or I could actually use the zoom function within Equidox, so we can zoom just the page itself. But I want to make everything nice and big so you can all see. So this right now is currently set as a text zone. There's a little green flag in the left-hand corner of the zone that says TX. So if I want to change that from a text zone to a heading, I can hit the drop-down menu and I can select heading from that drop-down. And then by default, the heading properties will populate, and then by default, it's a heading level 1. So by just making that quick change, and if we refresh the preview, you can see that that font is much larger now. So this is my feedback from Equidox, just confirming that I have in fact set a heading level 1. I can see that evidence right here in the HTML preview page. So these other headings, considering that this one here is not actually, there's no double spacing, there was no carriage return, it seems that Equidox is detecting this all as one paragraph. So just to clean this up, I'm just going to resize that zone by clicking and drawing, and then I'm going to draw a new zone here to detect that paragraph, because I want to identify this specific line of text as a heading. So instead of using my drop-down menu, I want to use my keyboard shortcuts just to speed things up. So if I want to change this text zone to a heading level 2, all I have to do is press 2 on my keyboard, and you'll see that it's automatically changed it to a heading level 2. And it's the same thing for here. If I want to set this as a heading level 2, I'll just tap 2 on my keyboard. And then down here I have, it looks like this is indicating a heading level 3. So I'll tap 3 for a heading level 3, and then I'll draw a new zone to just re-identify that text. Considering that the zones weren't exactly perfect, I can just quickly make an adjustment to resize things. So after making those changes to the heading levels, we're going to have a bit of a reading order issue, which we can fix. But you can see now that I have larger font indicating my headings. I still have my link, and then down here I have some of that text that I had to re-identify. So my reading order is going to be a little bit incorrect for the time being. But I'm going to fix that at the very end, so not to worry. The next element that I want to look at is this list, which is just three separate list items. Currently not tagged as a list, currently just tagged as text. So this would be read as sort of a strange sentence with special characters injected into that paragraph. So in order to fix this, I'm just going to change the zone type to list. And if you notice, I'll make this a little bit wider. You notice there's a little green bar. Let me zoom in a bit more. There's a little green bar that comes down the left-hand side of the.
Hopefully he'll come back in.
Am I back?
Yes, now you're back.
Okay. Okay, great. So I was just working on this list here, and if you didn't see, I changed the zone type to list, and then that gives me this different zone look where I have this green bar that comes down the left-hand side of the zone. I layer that on top of the list labels. In this case, they are the bullet points. And now all I have to do is go down to my list properties section, and if I have this list detection tool. So this is a slider that I can just move one slot from left to right. Maybe I have to, perhaps moving it.
We may have lost you again, Dan. There we go.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I was just trying to fix up this list. So if I just move, I change the zone type to list, and I place this bar on the left-hand side of the zone on top of the list labels. And then I move the list detection slider from left to right by one slot. And that will give me 3 separate list items that make up this single list. So when I look at the preview now, instead of having that sort of strange looking paragraph with the bullet points in the middle of them, I now actually have 3 separate list items that make up one single list. So this is the proper structure for a list. And all I've had to do is move a slider from left to right. I haven't had to identify any individual list labels, any items, or any list body tags. I'm simply just interacting with this one single zone. And I can show you a more complicated list on a different document because there's a new feature for detecting nested lists, which is extremely helpful and it saves a ton of time. So we're doing much better. We're almost done with this page. And the last thing I think I need to look at is this image. And I want to make sure that I type in an alt description. So we could have typed it in at the document detail level, but since I didn't know much about this document, I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any additional context on the page that would be more important for this image so that I might need to take a look at. Here I can clearly see that this is the Region 10 logo. So I want to just type into my alt description, Region 10 ESC logo. So that will give me this appropriate alt description for that image. That's going to now be exported with the document when I'm done working on everything. So there's really nothing that changes visually about the page when you're typing in an alt text, but it is there for the end users when they are interacting with the document with the screen reader. So now, of course, we have the reading order issue. Because I was making some manual adjustments to zones, the reading order got a little bit out of whack. So I'm just going to go back to my page tab up here, and I'm just simply going to press reorder. And that's going to reorder the page from top to bottom in a left to right, top to bottom format. If I don't have a left to right exact reading order, I can use a 2, 3, or 4 column layout. So I could split the page essentially in half and then apply that left to right reading order to the left side and then over to the right side. So it really just depends on the layout of the page. You can choose the appropriate setting, and you can also apply that to all pages if you'd like. So if you have, a 20 or 30 page document and everything is a 2 column layout, you can apply that reading order to all pages. But all I've had to do is just press one button. And if I look at the preview, you'll see that my reading order is now exactly as it appears on the PDF. So I have my heading level 1, my heading level 2s. I have my heading 3 down here. Here's my list. I have my link that we see can work. And then we have our image at the very bottom. So I'm satisfied with this page. That's my key there to then just save it and move on to the next one. So moving on to the next one, we have another image here of which doesn't have a lot of textual context around it to really describe like what its importance is. So it's kind of up to the end user to determine what the best alt description is. You could have an entire training course on how to write alt descriptions, but for this, I'm just going to put lighthouse on a hill overlooking the ocean. So I'm going to type that alt description into there to appropriately describe this image. But really, that kind of just depends on the file that you're working on, the overall intent of that file. It kind of has to be looked at a case-by-case basis because every PDF is slightly different. So the other image that I have here that we can look at is if we have an image like this, which is a pie chart, and it actually has text inside of it, which is labeling the individual sections of the pie. So we can do a few things with this. I'm able to start typing into my alt description to just describe this pie chart, the favorite type of movie, and start typing in the individual data points into my alt description, which is fine. But something I might prefer to do is I can actually just use what I did there was hide the zone to remove that layer of that zone on top. But what I can do is I can actually use OCR. So if I draw a zone around this image just by clicking and dragging on my screen, I can change the zone source from PDF to OCR. And when I press convert to text, what it's going to do is it's going to analyze this image and it's going to look for any text that it can find. And this is what it gives back to me. So I previously had all of that text just inside of the image, which is not actually machine readable in any way. But now since I've used OCR, you'll see that I've actually converted that into actual selectable text, which I can then copy, and then I can just get rid of that extra zone. And I will make that image return by unchecking the hide zone. And now I can paste that into the alt description. So I could type, I could get more descriptive than that, but at least I've extracted the data points and it's all nice and accurate. I haven't had to type anything. I haven't had to make any mistakes on my own. But I could type in pie chart describing favorite type of movie. and then maybe, get more descriptive, putting a colon, you could put anything you'd like to, expand. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we were just finishing up the alt description using the OCR process. So we haven't had to type anything, saving ourselves a little bit of time and really kind of ensuring some better accuracy. So that's a quick way of dealing with something like a pie chart. We're able to capture all of that data using OCR. So let's take another look at this page here, which is a table as it sits now. If we take a look at the preview based on how that table is detected as it currently sits, a completely untagged table, what a mess we have. This is really not a table at all. This is exactly how a screen reader would interact with that data, and who could draw any valuable information from something with this type of reading order. What does that number refer to? I have no idea which row and column that's actually in. So this is terrible table structure. It's not table structure at all. So to fix this, what we can do is just ignore all of those zones and just draw a zone over the top of the table. And then I'll press T on my keyboard to set the zone type as a table. And I can now open up the table editor. So opening up the table editor gives us this isolated view of the table. And we have our columns somewhat recognized perfectly. And then we have some rows here as well. So you can see these green grid lines that are kind of placed on top of the table. So Equidox took a guess at the basic structure of the table, and it did a pretty nice job, but it could probably do a little bit better. So we have another set of sliders here for table detection. If I just move these sliders a little bit back and forth, I can probably find a pretty perfect structure of that table. So all I have to do is move those sliders, and you can see that now it's got the table perfectly recognized. The green grid lines are pretty much exactly spot on. And if I look at the preview after doing that, we have a perfect HTML table. So I'm not having to interact with the tag tree in any way. I'm simply layering those green grid lines on top of the table to identify where the table data sits. And then I can make any small minor adjustments to it from there. So for example, these are not exactly row headers. We have column headers up here. But if we wanted to change these, because right now they're marked with bold text to indicate that they are table headers, because Equidox just assumes a 1-to-1 ratio of row to column headers. But if I want these to be read as table data, which they actually are, what I can do is I can just go to back to my table editor page, and I can change the row header from 0 to 1, or from 1 to 0. And when I refresh it, we're going to see that the actual text is now just plain, the plain font. So I have my column headers, and I have all of the table data that falls in line underneath them. So that table is done. So I know that if you're trying to remediate a table like this in Acrobat, it's very tedious. Every cell needs to be individually tagged. It can easily take someone a half an hour to fiddle around with a table like this. And there's a million ways to make a mistake doing that. That has to ultimately be backtracked. But with Equidox, we have perfect table detection just because of our machine learning and our computer vision technology. Another nice feature that we have is the row, or the table summary will actually automatically populate. So the rows and columns, and the fact that there are no header rows will actually automatically populate, so that all of your tables are going to have a nice consistent table summary written for them automatically. So you won't have individual users trying to guess at how to write a proper table summary. Equidox does it automatically for them. So that's how easy it is for us to work with tables. And we have a couple minutes left, and I just want to show you one other new feature. Unless there's any questions about this document, I'm happy to pause. Okay, great. I will just show you one other thing. I imported a document that contains some lists, and I wanted to show you how we handle nested lists. Because of this new, you can see this PDF input was tagged, and I actually already have the existing tag structure recognized. But what I can do is I can actually use another text sliding tool. So this is our text detection. We're able to move this back and forth and just change the way that Equidox is detecting the text. If we don't like the existing tag structure, we can reset it and let Equidox's auto detection take over. But in this case, I'm just going to bring it down to 0 so we can start from scratch. So with a list like this, we have obviously lists inside of list items, which are inside of other list items. Quite a pain to try to remediate this using Acrobat. But with Equidox, all we need to do is draw a single zone over the entire list, change the zone type to list, and then line up this green bar with the list labels. And as I do that, I can now move my list detection slider over and let the machine learning and computer vision take course. So just by moving that slider, you can see that we have all of this list structure now inside of the list items. And if I look at the preview of this page, we have a perfectly nested list, and all I've had to do is just navigate that slider from left to right. So I don't have to make any further adjustments. I'm not having to identify individual list labels and list bodies. A list like this could easily take 20, 30 minutes in Acrobat to finally put together the right way. With this, you just have to identify that this is in fact a nested list and move this.
Lost you for a second.
We've essentially,
Very good.
yep.
We lost you for a second.
Oh, okay, sorry. So we are just, we've just leveraged, some, we have essentially trained a model to identify nested lists, and it's able to detect the structure of nested lists automatically just by moving that slider.
Can you do that one more time?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
I will bring the slider back to 0, start from scratch. Just drawing a zone around the entire list. I'll press L, I'll move the slider from 0 to 4. And that's exactly what we get.
Okay.
A perfect nested list. So that's, and as I said, this would take quite a while to piece together in Acrobat. There's a lot of tags that would go into a nested list like this. We don't have to interact with the tag tree at all. We simply have to identify that this is a list, and we just interact with the easy to use tools on the left-hand side of the toolbar. And then we see the changes that we've made. We see that populate in HTML just to confirm that we're doing a good job. And the beauty of Equidox is that if we go to export this file as a PDF, it is going to take all of this existing structure that we have here in HTML, and it's automatically going to write a PDF tag tree for you. So you're not having to interact with tags. You're simply interacting with the reading zones, making sure that they're labeled appropriately, and that you get the nice clean structure that you're looking for in HTML, and then Equidox does the rest. So it's just much easier to learn and be trained on.
Dan, excuse me. We had a question. Someone, when you were working on the table, someone asked if they could see the HTML. I'm not sure Karen wanted to see the HTML of the table. Is that correct, Karen?
Perhaps the source code?
I think she just wanted to see it laid out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
Yes, I would love to see it. Once you put it, you made the table accessible. Could you go back and show me in HTML what it would look like through the reader, for a reader?
Sure. So if I have a table of something like this, I can just do this from scratch. So you can see in real time how fast this is. So if I open up the table editor, I will move the sliders, and then I will nudge my columns a little bit to the left, nudge my rows up a little bit. That looks better. I will span across these span cells, and I will mark my column headers to 2. So you can see as I'm making changes, my table summary is actually updating in real time. But then when I look at the preview, here's our nice clean, oops, it looks like I have some columns that are just misplaced slightly. Let me just fix this just a hair. So I'm able to see quickly, if you noticed, if I was going too quickly, you can see that there's 2 numbers in these cells. So I just had my spacing just a little bit off with my columns. But just by making those quick adjustments to the rows, that cleans it up so that looks much more consistent. So
did you drag that over? You can drag that one column over,
exactly.
Okay.
You can move them around, you can make adjustments to them as needed. There's so much you can do with this. You can even inject custom information. So let me just, if I needed to put in like a custom heading to the table, I can actually type that into this blank cell up here. Although that would be completely, not required for this type of table. But if you need to make adjustments, if it's bad table design, you can inject information as you see fit as the remediator, because sometimes tables are so poorly designed or they're full of blank cells. If you'd like to go through and add a 0 or a dash to those cells just to indicate that it's not in fact a broken table, you're able to make any sorts of adjustments that you need without visually disrupting the PDF. You're just injecting additional information into the tagged reading order. That's, you know, invisible from sight, but it's there for end users who are interacting with assistive technology. And then now that we have, I'm sorry?
Are you able to undo merged cells, like you have the years and merged cells, and we're not supposed to really have merged cells?
So in terms of like the design,
Yes.
If we're able to merge, if there are merged cells in the source PDF, we're not able to edit the source PDF like visually. We're not making changes to how it looks. But what you could do is if I took that merge off by removing the span, I could go into the custom and I could actually type in 2017 and I could just change this for all of these individual cells. Now, if you feel like doing this, you certainly can. But I will say that you know, having that span cell, it's almost acting as like a parent header to the 4 quarters. So as an end user is navigating through, when they're at this cell here, they know that that's the marketing department 2017 Q2. So they're getting multiple header rows read to them loud. But you'll see that once I use that custom cell, I'm actually able to take, although it's spanned for 2018, I'm actually able to use the custom cell source to type in 2017 for all 4 of those quarters. So you have that flexibility if that's what you would like to do. Otherwise, when you're navigating through, these tables now have scope. So as I said before, this number here would be for the marketing department 2018 Q3.
Great.
Thank you.
Dan, that was great. Does anybody else have any other questions? Because otherwise we're gonna just briefly talk about, of course, we have a relationship with them too. And in fact, we have bought licenses for Region 10. Poor Mallory had to stick with us forever before we sealed the deal, but it's, we have, I do not cry looking at really bad PDFs anymore. So it's really nice. Once again, they have a huge discount for education and they have a huge discount if you come through Region 10. So we appreciate the relationship. And I guess unless y'all have questions, and of course y'all, if y'all want to hang out and talk to Dan and Mallory, you're welcome to, or we can take a 10-minute break.
Thank you, Dan and Mallory. That was a really good presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I apologize for the audio pauses and freezes. I don't know exactly what's happening with Zoom these days, but I do apologize, and I hope that you're able to get everything that you needed out of this presentation. And I am free for follow-up conversations if anyone is more curious or would like to see, you know, a demo of something that they might work on in a typical day. I'm happy to join up for another meeting at some point in the future. If you just contact Mallory, that'd be great. So it's nice meeting all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you all as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. And Shane has all my contact information, so feel free to get with her if there is any further information needed on Equidox.